Alright, had another game last night. My Bretonnians versus a magic-heavy, fighty-heavy Warriors of Chaos army. It was funny, when we were setting up the board, the store owner offered us this little tiny outhouse when we asked for a building. And we decided not to use it. It was kind of pointless. It was so small, but my son went off to the side and set up this little scenario of the Bretonnian Lord parking his Pegasus Knight out front and tying up the bathroom and all the peasants waiting in line. Thought that was kind of funny. Alright, so we have the board. We have that big old house in the upper right with a hill in the upper middle and woods in the upper left. At the bottom we have that wizard tower thing that we're treating as impassable terrain, and off the board to the left is a hill. So the terrain didn't really affect much here. We have two highly mobile armies with a big field in between us. So I knew this was going to be an interesting game and that we were going to get into a lot of bloody fights pretty early on. So to the setup of it, there's on the far right, my far right, the Chaos Chariot, Marauder Horseman behind the house. In the house there's two level 2 sorcerers. To the left of that are some more Marauder Horsemen and some Chaos Knights. To the left of that there's some Warhounds. Behind them are some Chaos Knights on the hill. More Warhounds, more Chaos Knights. Behind them is a level 4 sorcerer on a flying disc. To the left of all of them are some more Marauder Horsemen, and then a Hell Cannon. So this should be fun. I've got, of course, some Peasant Bowmen and a Trebuchet, Pegasus Knights, small block of Knights Errant, big block of Knights of the Realm with the Damsel, 5 Grail Knights with the Damsel. I'm using some Skirmishing Bowmen to create a screen in front of me so that I don't get blasted away too badly on turn 1. Got a big block Knights of the Realm with my BSB, some Fast Cav, big block of men-at-arms, some more Pegasus Knights, and then there's my general. My general's kitted out to be a monster killer. He has Killing Blow on large targets, and the only large target my opponent has is the Hell Cannon. So I was trying to hide from his magic turn 1, so when I actually move, I will set up a charge, and on turn 2, I'll be in combat with that Hell Cannon. So that's my plan. So of course he goes first, he moves everybody up, being very cavalier with his sorcerers. His 2 level 2s and his level 4 right out there in front. No fear whatsoever from my bowmen. Not that I blame him. And everybody else just kind of goes forward. 2 of his knight units have the Mark of Khorne, and you can see he's screening them with those Warhounds so that he doesn't have to charge if he doesn't want to. And I know he plans on fleeing with the Hounds to set up good counter charges. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm worried about. 12 power dice in his magic phase. He ends up killing 1 Peasant Bowman and 2 Fast Cav. So no complaints there whatsoever. So Bretonnia turn 1. You can see I take my Pegasus Knights on the right, and I see that I'm in distance with his chariot, so I go ahead and declare that charge, see if I can get that chariot out of the way. Otherwise, I'm hanging back a little bit, seeing what develops next turn. The Pegasus Knights in the middle of the board, I charged his hounds because I thought I had the distance to go into the flank of that knight unit. And I don't really mind charging them as long as I have the flank, but I missed it by an inch. So my Pegasus Knights are sitting out there right in front of 1 unit of Chaos Knights, and probably that red unit can see me and can get me too. So really there's 2 units of Knights. Yeah, that's really not very good for those guys. Over here on his turn, his Hell Cannon had a miscast, and we rolled, I believe, a 5, but he surged forward 3d6, so that's why he's out there. So I'm worried about him surging forward again, so I'm turning my men-at-arms around just because there's nothing for them to do on this side of the board. I'm going to bring them in support in the middle, and so I'm going to walk behind that tower, and my general's set up to charge that Hell Cannon. So I take my Pegasus Knights into the chariot. We have a big pillow fight. I do no wounds on him. He does no wounds on me. But I beat him by 1 by outnumber. He fails his break test and flees. And it takes me into his Marauder Horseman. So can't complain about that. I wish I would have overran that chariot, or he would have gone off the board, because I don't need that thing sticking around. But that's where we're at. So turn 2, you can see his His hounds charged my peasant bowman skirmishers, and I chose to flee with them, so you see them at the very bottom of the screen. Both these units of knights, I believe, had the mark of corn. I know the red ones do, and I think the other ones did too. So they had to charge the Pegasus Knights, and so I just fled with them, and so that actually turned out well enough. Not overly concerned about it. You can see he took his level 4 sorcerer and flew him behind my lines, and I just know I'm going to have a problem with that guy, because if I can't get my Pegasus Knights lined up to charge him, I'll never be mobile enough with my big blocks of cavalry to get him. So he's just going to fly around blasting me. And like I said, he's got 12 power dice, and he's using, with all 3 of his guys, the Zinch lore, so it's kind of a little bit nerve-wracking there. Other side of the board, you can see he just kind of is using his fast cav to contain me from getting around behind him, and that's just where he's at. I believe his Hell Cannon misfired again this turn, and when all was said and done, I think it ate one of his crewmen or something like that. So during the magic phase, he killed half of this unit of Knights Errant. During the combat phase, I beat and ran down his Marauder Horseman. He had rallied his chariot, and so I got another charge on the chariot. So I'm glad the Marauders are out of the way. I'm pretty confident about beating the chariot. I beat it last time, and I whiffed on my attack, so I think I can at least get a couple wounds in there and beat him again. This unit of Knights Errant that lost half during the magic phase, when they took their panic test, they failed it. And not only did they flee, but they ran through the trebuchet and caused the trebuchet to flee, or the crew to flee, and I just took the trebuchet off the board. So that was kind of a bummer. So Brett turn 2. We haven't fought in the upper right-hand corner yet. Down here below, I took my big block of Knights of the Realm and I charged his Warhounds, who fled. And I was thinking I'd be okay, because I don't think his Chaos Knights can wheel to get around his Marauders. I mean, if he can, he'd be facing to the left so much that I didn't think he could hit me. So I'm not worried about his Marauders charging into me, and I don't think his Chaos Knights can get into me. So that's why I declared that charge. In the middle, I was able to take my big block and my Grail Knights, charge all of them into the front of that block of Chaos Knights, and I'm very, very confident about that. I'd have to really whiff a lot of attacks for that not to turn out well for me. The Pegasus Knights rallied. I didn't really reform them because they're skirmishers and it doesn't matter. And my general has charged into the Hell Cannon. So come the combat phase, this is going to be real interesting, because if I roll a 6 to wound, I'm going to get a killing blow on it, and if I don't, I'm a little bit afraid of what that thing's going to do to me. So there we go. That's the end of the movement phase of Bretonnia turn 2. And that's another look at the big combat in the middle. I really need to get those Grail Knights painted. I think that'd be a pretty picture if I had them.